Greetings to everybody out there in the No DQ galaxy. Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for June the 12th, 2020. This was the final Smackdown before the WWE Backlash pay-per-view, which is, of course, this Sunday on the WWE Network, featuring the greatest wrestling match ever. However, we just might have seen the greatest wrestling match ever on television on this episode of SmackDown. Certainly one of the best WWE television matches in quite some time. We also had some piss. We had Braun Strowman beating the crap out of people. We had Mandy Rose. Just another Friday night. Let's go ahead and break it down. Shout out to everybody in the chat room for watching live, and thank you to everybody out there watching, whether it's live or on demand. We started off SmackDown with a recap of last week with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, their whole storyline brewing. And then we had a contract signing. For those of you that are new to the No DQ channel, a contract signing equals letter grade down, automatic letter grade down, because I'm sick of contract signings. We've seen way too many of them, and I am begging, I am pleading with Bruce Pritchard. Can we have no more contract signings at least for a year? If you want to do it for WrestleMania, fine. But do we really need a mandatory contract signing every single pay-per-view? Please, Bruce, Brother Love, my homeboy, no more contract signings. We had Sheamus come out, and he arrived with his doctor and a bunch of security guys, and then Jeff Hardy came out. We also had this curtain in the middle of the ring next to the table, a little area for hiding yourself, so to speak. TJS with the $2 super chat says, why didn't Daniel Bryan versus AJ close? Best TV match since 2011. I'm not sure if I would go that far, TJS, but I'll talk about that more here in a few minutes. And guys, thank you, TJS. If you're going to send in super chats, please try to stick to the topic. So we had Jeff Hardy wanting to sign the contract, but Sheamus, first of all, was denying that he set up Jeff Hardy with the hit and run a couple weeks ago. Says it was not him. And then he said if he's going to fight Jeff Hardy at Backlash, Jeff has to take a urine test before Sheamus will sign the contract. Sheamus said he is not going to step in the ring with a junkie. Jeff said if that's what it takes, he will do it. He's been to AA meetings. He's sick and tired of being sick and tired. He called Sheamus a bastard. Sheamus responded by saying, hey, he paid for the test himself and there will be instant results from this test. So Jeff went inside the curtains, the booth, whatever you want to call it, and he pissed in a cup. It was quite a lot of piss. Jeff must have been drinking a lot. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, the cup of piss has more personality than Ricochet. Wow. Well, at least you've gone away from dissing EC3. As soon as I saw your name, Psycho Jet Black, I thought it was going to be a diss on EC3. TJS with the $2 super chat says, similar to HBK pissing on Vince in 2006, same line too. Well, let me get to that here. So TJS just loves to jump ahead here. Jeff pissed in the cup. And as he was doing this, Sheamus gave a PSA. He said, "Don't do drugs." Right at the camera, saying, don't do what Jeff Hardy does, basically. And then Jeff had a line of his own. And as TJS was alluding to, this was the same line used by Shawn Michaels in 2006 and pretty much the same exact segment. Jeff said, "It's better to be pissed off than to be pissed on." And then he threw the big cup of urine in Sheamus's face. Sheamus went absolutely batshit crazy. And crowd, I think, was chanting, "You got pissed on," which was censored. So apparently Jeff Hardy can say pissed, but not the PC trainees. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, "Stealing a page out of Psycho Jet Black's playbook, tonight is the only night where urine is more over than EC3. Poor Sheamus's face." Somebody had to diss EC3, if not Psycho Jet Black. We cannot go for one live stream without EC3 being the butt end of the jokes. This segment was pretty much exactly what was done 14 years ago when Shawn Michaels was feuding with Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. Vince had Michaels take a urine test, and then Michaels took the urine and threw it in Vince and Shane's face, and also used the pissed on line. So not even a creative segment here. Type of segment you would expect from Vince. You know, anything with piss or poop or farting. That's right up Vince McMahon's alley. That's what he likes. It's good shit, pal. Or in this case, it's good piss, pal. Oofman Entertainment. Oofman rules with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, "If this show isn't proof that these shows are meant for an audience of one, I don't know what is." You nailed it, my friend. And keep in mind also that it's a kid's show. At least Vince's mentality is toilet humor, and it's the same kind of stuff that kids find entertaining. Although, when you look at the demos for these shows, it does seem to be Vince's age group more than kids at this point. So, who knows? Maybe it's just an older person thing, but not really something that's going to be very captivating to the 18 to 34-year-olds. Let's just say that. So backstage, Sheamus had mouthwash. He was trying to rinse himself off. And then we had the doctor show up and reveal that the test results came in negative. Sheamus, of course, freaked out over this. Very upset. Now he has to wrestle Jeff Hardy at the pay-per-view. Gabe with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Gabe. He says, "I think they should do a play on the Victory Road match on Sunday and have Jeff Hardy play off that he is intoxicated." You know what? WWE might as well do it. Have Jeff Hardy, they could just throw this on the kickoff. They don't even have to do a match because, quite frankly, I'm not that invested in seeing them have a match. But you could have Jeff Hardy stumble to the ring and Sheamus is like, "Oh, this is going to be easy." And then Jeff Hardy fakes it and rolls up Sheamus and beats him in a quick match. I would not complain about that. If WWE did that, I think it would be funny. So there you go. There's an idea for Sunday. Jeff Hardy tricks Sheamus by pulling a Victory Road 2011. I like it. I say go for it. Why not? Johnny Boy with a $10 super chat. Very awesome. I appreciate it very much, Johnny Boy. He says, I've been watching you for 10 years, so I thought I would give you $10. By the way, my respect for you went up once you mentioned the Doors, hence my user pick. Hey, not a problem. Big fan of the Doors. And I appreciate your longtime viewership of the channel. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat says, guys, which is funnier, Sheamus getting pissed on or Regal accidentally urinating on the Big Show? Anything with Regal is my pick. Well, thank you for that, Ken. And I agree with you. William Regal did some really funny stuff back in the day, whether it was urinating on the Big Show or remember when Chris Jericho peed in Regal's teacup and Regal's reaction when he was drinking the piss? That was great. And then, of course, Regal dancing with Crime Time at SummerSlam '07. Regal always was involved in funny stuff. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, I wish Sting could come in for a promo on Jeff. I think that would be a little bit too much. I don't think that's necessary to bring in Sting to do that Victory Road angle. But still, I'm all for the Victory Road bit at Backlash. And thank you for that, Psycho. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, Jeff held his pee all day. Probably he was anticipating this. Maybe he read the spoilers and he knew that this segment was going to happen, so he had to hold his pee so he could perform. We had our first match of the evening. Let's move away from piss and urine. Well, this segment might take the piss. Actually, it wasn't bad, but I have my issues with this also, as you guys might anticipate for those of you that have been following the channel for a while. New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. So one of my WWE pet peeves, in addition to contract signings, letter grade down, is when a team wins the tag team titles and then barely has any defenses and then loses to a team to presumably set up a match. And that's exactly what happened here. Nakamura countered Kofi Kingston's splash and then rolled up Kofi with just a roll-up after getting his knees up and then scored the 1-2-3 victory. So I'm guessing we'll get a title match between these teams. But why not just have Cesaro and Shinsuke win some matches on TV, beat some other teams, and build them up to become number one contenders? Why does it always have to be champions losing for the other team to become number one contenders? It's such lazy booking. I'm tired of it. Letter grade down for this. Find a different way to build up your teams for a match. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, is Nakamura overrated or is he just getting old? Getting old. I mean, Nakamura is very charismatic, and I think WWE really dropped the ball with him. Like, I think his potential was not fully recognized in WWE. You could argue, yeah, the guy could not cut promos, but again, I always go back to Goldberg. Not every guy needs to be a great promo. Like, Nakamura had the charisma where he could connect with people without having to cut a promo. So I think more could have been done with him. And as far as the contract signing, or not the contract signing, as far as that finish to New Day and Nakamura and Cesaro goes, at first I was almost like, wow, Kofi's looking pretty weak here after he had such a great run in 2019. You know, I still remember that, how dominant he was, and now he's losing quite easily. But then the guy that beat him is Nakamura, who won the Royal Rumble in 2018 and beat Cena and got this huge push as well. So I'm like, well, they're kind of at the same level, so I'm okay with it, I suppose. It's just both of them have fallen so far from where they were a couple of years ago. Not even a year for Kofi. Backstage, we had Otis reuniting with Tucker. Mandy Rose kissed Otis for good luck, and Tucker was trying to get Otis focused and brought up Money in the Bank, saying this could be Otis's night to cash in. And then we had Jeff Hardy and Sheamus brawling in the backstage area, and the officials were separating them, and that was that. That was the final build for Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, not the whole urine piss thing. We had a video package to hype up the finals of the Intercontinental title tournament, and we had the match, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. This just might be the greatest television wrestling match of all time. Probably not, but it was a hell of a match. This was definitely a pay-per-view quality match. It could have been on Backlash. People are asking me why it wasn't on Backlash, and my answer is, for one thing, if you put this match on pay-per-view, then people would say, well, Edge and Randy Orton wasn't even the best match of the pay-per-view. So that I think is one issue. And the other thing is, too, is that SmackDown numbers have been dropping, and yeah, the pay-per-views are still important, network subscriptions and all that, but WWE, it's also in the company's best interest to put out some marquee matches on television. I'm curious to see what this match does in viewership if they get a bump. This was the longest match I've seen on WWE TV, maybe since that gauntlet that Seth Rollins won. Other than a gauntlet match, as far as just a straight-up singles match goes, this was the longest one in a long time that I could remember. Very back and forth. It went 4 commercial breaks. They worked over body parts. Styles ended up having his shoulder hurt, and then the arm and elbow Daniel Bryan went after, and then later Styles would go after Bryan's knee. They traded submissions back and forth, and Styles countered Bryan's running knee, went for the Styles Clash, hit it, but could not make the cover. And then after a little bit more back and forth, Styles hit the phenomenal forearm and secured the 1-2-3 victory to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Definitely check out the match. The only negative, of course, is the fact that it's a TV match, and I think that the commercial breaks take out a little bit of the flow of the match. And also not having an actual crowd. You got the PC guys, which helps, but it's not the same as having a live crowd. But still, great match between these guys. Worth checking out. Best WWE TV match of the year. Maybe best match including AEW, although the Cody Cage match is up there for me. I still might go with that as my favorite TV match of the year so far. What do you guys think in the chat room? Best TV match of the year so far. What is it? Was it tonight? Was it something from AEW? Was it something from WWE earlier in the year? Something from NXT? The cage fight? Let me know what you guys think. Nick Lavin with a $2.79 super chat says, this is what the IC title needed. Agreed. This felt like an old school Intercontinental title match, the kind of matches that we saw the greats like Shawn Michaels, Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage, Chris Benoit. I could say Benoit because it's not WWE. Chris Jericho, and the list goes on. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, Edge doing a 450 splash on Orton equals 6-star rating? Well, I think they would have to be in the Tokyo Dome for that, but seriously, the problem with the match between Orton and Edge is that it's taped. It's not fair to compare that with live matches where you only get one take. Gabe with a $2 super chat says, commercial breaks versus picture-in-picture. Picture-in-picture is fine, but I still tend to not pay attention when they're doing picture-in-picture. Like, I consider it a commercial break, so I'm going to go update my notes or use the bathroom or something like that. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Keith, says, sorry off topic, Aaron, but Dexter Loomis reminds me of Heidenreich. Yeah, I could see that. They kind of have that similar creepy vibe. I know where you're coming from. After the victory from AJ Styles, he cut a promo saying he's the best champion the WWE Universe has ever seen. He is phenomenal. Yada yada yada. We had a recap of what happened between Braun Strowman and The Miz and John Morrison. And Strowman said that he can fix his car, but there's nothing that can fix what's going to happen to John Morrison and The Miz at Backlash. Strowman said he's not in the mood for any Money in the Bank shenanigans from Otis. So Otis better watch himself, or Strowman's going to have to take care of some heavy machinery, beat the crap out of them. We then had a celebration from the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Bayley and Sasha Banks. They had balloons out there, and Bayley brought up a line how it's lonely at the top. However, that's not the case for her because she has her good friend, her bestie, Sasha Banks. Sasha said together they're unstoppable, and Bayley was about to read a poem to Sasha when all of a sudden we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross interrupt. They talked a little bit, and then the Iconics appeared on the big screen, talked a little bit. Alexa and Nikki beat up the champs, sent them out of the ring, and this was the final build for the tag title match at the pay-per-view. I suspect the champions will retain here. Feels pretty obvious that they're not going to lose right away, but stranger things have happened. And then we have the main event segment, which was a 6-man tag team match, not Bryan versus AJ, which some people were questioning why that was done the way it was. And we had Miz and Morrison start to air this music video for Miz and Morrison, hey, hey, ho, ho, he, however it goes. But Braun Strowman interrupted it with his entrance. So we had Strowman with Heavy Machinery against Dolph Ziggler, Miz, and John Morrison. Early on in the match, King Corbin interrupted things by walking up to Mandy Rose backstage, and he was upset about Otis stealing his crown last week. Otis ran to the back trying to protect Mandy. He attacked Baron Corbin, and then the match continued in the ring without Otis. Otis and Mandy eventually returned. Otis got the hot tag. Strowman went to town on the heels on the outside. Strowman Express. He bum rushed Morrison into the plexiglass and then threw Ziggler back in the ring. We had Otis hit the Caterpillar. 1, 2, 3, picking up the victory for the baby faces, and that was it. No big cliffhanger or no big angle to close out the show. This made me even more surprised why this closed and not Bryan versus Styles. Like, you did not even do a big angle at the end or even a Money in the Bank tease. Nothing really at the end. So I thought it was a pretty flat finish to the show. But yeah, Bryan and Styles was awesome. That match was great. Rest of the show was your usual from SmackDown. Some good, some bad, some ugly. As far as the show goes, I'm going to give it, interestingly enough, based on the strength of the IC title match, which took up a big chunk of the show, I'm going to give it a B+. If it wasn't for a contract signing and the stuff with New Day losing, I might have given it an A- or an A. But B+, I think, is very fair for this show. Carried by Bryan and Styles. Ace and his Familia Vlogs gives it a B+. Kev with a B. Michael Wayne with a B+. Luis Ortiz with a B+. Matt Helms with a B+. So lots of B pluses across the board. Also from Calvin and Mike B. And the game is on 100. And CC Drink. And Lars gave it a B. And Curtis Butler with a B would have been a B+. So overall, pretty good marks for SmackDown this week. WWE can thank Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles for that. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Miz, Morrison, and Ziggler is so early 2010s. Yeah, it definitely gives me a vibe back to that period. Remember when Morrison called Ziggler Mr. Ziggles? Ken Terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. Says, thank you for keeping me as a mod despite me bearing on Virtue a few times. LOL for real. He needs to stop overmarking on Russo Night Rift. Hey, I like Vince Russo. I would not mind him being given another shot in WWE, as I said on the No DQ review. If you guys heard me, I do apologize again for the live stream issues with that. But 100, we will not have those problems again. And apparently we were fine tonight, so that's good. And no Forgotten Sons on this show. I saw a comment in the chat room. Second week in a row. No mention of the Forgotten Sons. They have been forgotten about because of that one tweet in support of the president, Donald J. Trump. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, what happened to AOP? Are they injured? Yes. I believe it's Razor that's injured. I always forget like who's injured because sometimes they go back and forth. One guy gets injured and then the other guy is injured. So correct me if I'm wrong in the chat room, but I believe it's Razor that's the injured one. And of course, in WWE fashion, if one guy gets hurt, the other guy is basically put on the shelf. He's iced until the other guy returns from his injury, which sucks, but, you know, that's how it goes in WWE. We've seen it happen with a lot of tag teams, even with the Usos. Jay did get one appearance on TV, but other than that, he hasn't done anything. Johnny Boy with the $2 super chat says, any big plans for No DQ Run 100? Maybe some call-ins. That I'm not sure, just because I feel like that might cause too many streaming issues, but we're looking to have a stacked panel for that. We may even have a few more people than normal on. We may go longer. We were talking about the idea of maybe going 2 hours for 100. So expect more than usual from the No DQ review. We will be spicing things up a little bit for the 100th episode. Curtis Butler's against the idea. I just fear it would lead to too many technical issues, but one of these days I should consider doing it. Well, I'm losing my voice here. Crazy. I think on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this stream before I completely lose my voice. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, bring in Bart Gunn as a guest for the 100th episode. Hey, I would not be opposed to that. If Bart Gunn wanted to be on, I would be happy to bring him on. Since you guys love Bart Gunn so much, that would be a fun one. That would be a nice swerve. Never say never, I suppose. But anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow night, No DQ&A video, a new episode goes up. And then Sunday night, NoDQ.com will be providing play-by-play results of Backlash. I will be doing my live results stream, so tune in for that. Spread the word, tell a friend, and I will see you guys next time.